on what you were saying about the pilot project to bring more immigrants to smaller markets and smaller cities. We are about 1/6 of the way through the rural and northern immigration pilot project in Thunder Bay. We've so far attracted around 1/10 of the maximum number of skilled immigrants that we are allowed to bring in under that program. I'm wondering if you can talk about what your plans are to help us reach that maximum and what your plans are to expand our ability to attract skilled immigrants to Ontario.
The Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot is one of a series of pilots that we have introduced, including the Atlantic Immigration Pilot, which has been one of the unqualified successes at distributing immigration to those parts of Canada that need it the most. The reason why these pilots are working is because we are collaborating very closely with municipal and provincial partners, as well as business leaders who are on the ground. And by doing so, we learn more quickly what are the immediate needs of the communities, for instance, in Thunder Bay, or perhaps in Halifax, or perhaps in St. John's, and elsewhere in Canada, where we want to attract more immigrants. And so that's the purpose of these pilots, and we will continue to make good progress on the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot going forward.
Can you give us any details on any other initiatives you plan to take to
Well, in addition to the two pilots that I just mentioned, it was part of our last campaign platform to introduce a municipal nominee program. I'm very pleased to tell you that we have been consulting rather extensively with my provincial counterparts, as well as business leaders, as well as settlement service providers. And this will be another way in which we can encourage and foster more immigration to those parts of the country where they are starved for people. They want to have hardworking people, people like Chef Joe, who come with a dream and who come holding out the promise to give back to their communities. That has been the singular most impressive hallmark of Canadian history. This plan today is a vision, but it also reflects who we were, who we are, and who we want to be in the future. And that's why I'm so optimistic about tabling this plan today in Parliament.
Thank you, Nasib. Retourne maintenant à la salle. We'll come back to the room now. Next question, Stephanie Levin from Canadian Press.
La salle des
If only it was a room. Okay.
That's right. Welcome to our outdoor chamber.
Thanks for taking the question. I'd like to understand to what extent next year's supposed increase actually rolls over numbers from this year. Because when I look at the breakdown of the levels and I look at what you tabled, let's say in March for 2021, and I look at the levels released today, there's hundreds of thousands of people who never made it here. Are they counted in next year's numbers, or is this like a go forward?
Well, first, it's too premature to say exactly how many permanent residents we are going to land, and I do think that it has been remarkable that notwithstanding COVID-19 that we have been able to continue with safe and orderly immigration, and that is a testament to the additional resources, the leveraging of technology, and creating some flexibilities within our policies. But what this plan does, Stephanie, is it lays out what we think are the right goals, the right targets to accelerate economic recovery by looking very carefully at those parts of our workforce where we need it the most. So focusing on healthcare, focusing on trade so that we can continue to build critical infrastructure, especially where we need it the most, and looking to create a future economy for tomorrow. And so by making those investments, we feel that we can make up for some of the lost time that we have seen over the last several months because of COVID.
And I guess then, just as a follow-up, over the last several years, the department itself has moved more and more to processing targets for immigration, which is to say they promise they're going to process applications within a certain amount of time. The pandemic has really affected that. Will you take additional measures, or have you asked for additional resources to compensate for the growing backlog of cases across the board?
The short answer is yes, and one of the reasons why we have service standards is to be transparent with Canadians and also to hold ourselves up to being accountable, because we know that the faster that we can integrate immigrants into our communities, into our economy, the better they do, the better we all do. The OECD has repeatedly recognized that Canada is perhaps the best in the world at integrating immigrants, and that is because we establish a connection before they arrive. I think with the increased digitization and the transformation of IRCC, leveraging some of the technologies that we've seen come into play more in the future, will build on that success.
Thank you. Next Next question, Kenzie Gray, CTV.
Prime Minister. On July 6th, the Prime Minister announced that Canada was going to suspend arms dealings with Hong Kong, and in that same announcement he said, quote, we're looking at additional measures, including around immigration. To my knowledge, your government has done nothing on the immigration front with Hong Kong. What's taking so long?
Well, we have repeatedly expressed our grave concern with the passage of the national security law in Hong Kong by China. We have said repeatedly that we will take the necessary measures to express condemnation for that piece of legislation. We have suspended our extradition treaty with Hong Kong. We have imposed measures to restrict the flow of goods to that part of the world, and we will continue to examine all options, including immigration options. And for the 300,000 Canadians who live in Hong Kong, we are with you, we are with the people of Hong Kong, and we will always defend human rights everywhere in the world.
You've said that you're looking at options. I mean, I should say this was July 6th. We're almost in November now. Again, why is it taking so long? And you referenced the 300,000 Canadians who are living in Hong Kong. Ms. Freeland has previously said that they're very, very welcome to come home, but one of the impediments to them coming home could potentially be a family member, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend who might not be a Canadian citizen. Is one of the things that you're considering potentially allowing family members of Canadian citizens who live in Hong Kong to expedite their ability to bring family members to Canada?
Well, not only are there pathways for the 300,000 Canadian citizens who live in Hong Kong, but because of some of the additional pathways that we've created to reunite families throughout the pandemic, they too can also return as long as they have someone who is in Canada who meets the definition. So there are immigration pathways for those who wish to come back to Canada, and we will continue to leave all options and explore all options on the table.
Thank you. We will now go to the phone. On passera maintenant au téléphone pour nos deux dernières questions. Operator.
Thank you. The next question is from Kate Bolongaro from Bloomberg. La prochaine question est de Kate Bolongaro de Bloomberg. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hello, Minister. I have a question regarding these changes. Are these changes to get more temporary foreign workers and students to transition to permanent residency a temporary measure to make up for the lack of new arrivals this year, or will this be something that we're going to see permanently impacting different permanent residency targets as the years go on?
I think it behooves us to take a look at the rare opportunity that we have by looking very closely at the accessible domestic immigration that is already here within our borders. These are hardworking individuals, people like Joe, who want to contribute to our economy. They're students who are coming to take a first-rate education at schools across the country. And in some cases, they're also asylum seekers who have already put their shoulder to the wheel. And given where we are at in the pandemic and recognizing that the travel restrictions that we put into place are there to protect the health and safety of Canadians, we have the opportunity, we have the chance to look at the pathways in which we are encouraging people to establish their connection to Canada. And that means, I think, expediting and broadening the pathways to permanent residency for all.
Okay, we'll have our now final question from the phone. Operator, Apota.
The next question is from a participant from New Tang Dynasty TV. La prochaine question est de participant de New Tang Dynasty TV. Please state your name, s'il vous plaît, citez votre nom, and proceed with your question.
Oh, hi. This is Li Mingzhou from New Tang Dynasty TV. Hi, Minister. Canada opens doors to immigrants, but I understand Canada do not want to open doors to those foreigners who are gross human rights violators. So I wonder if CIC is taking action to prevent entry into Canada those who committed crimes against humanity. If the War Crimes and Crime Against Humanity unit have a list of those people. I'm referring to the joint operation of the Justice Department, CICC, BSA, and RCMP.
Well, Canada is an open and inclusive society that has welcomed immigrants like Chef Joe, but we have rigorous screening measures that are put into place, and of course we would never accept anyone who would have committed a war crime or any other criminal act for that matter. And we work very closely with our partners at Public Safety to ensure that that screening takes place. The safety and security of Canadians is our top priority, and our immigration system works very closely with other branches of government to ensure that we accomplish that goal.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who joined us today on this frigid Friday afternoon here in Ottawa.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
Thank you.